Inside Hilltopper Athletics is brought to you by Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. Here's your host, Lynn and
Welcome to a special edition of Inside Hilltopper Athletics, joined by head coach Ben Halep after last night's thrilling Atlantic Regional Championship over a very, very talented Indiana University of Pennsylvania team. Coach, you're exhausted, I'm exhausted, it's a long week, but thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, it was just, for anybody that was in that building, I had told a couple people, this had a big game feel. An hour before tip-off, thoughts that were going through your mind at that time?
Yeah, I actually, I walked over from the hotel to the arena about an hour and a half before the game, and there were a lot of fans lined up to get into the building, and there were a lot of Hilltopper fans in the building already, and that was really fun to see, and I think a couple of our guys saw that as well. And as you know, like when there's a line to get in the game before the gates open, it's got that big game feel, and it certainly was a big game for us.
Yeah, and the venue plays a part in that. One of the nicer facilities in the entire region, if not the nicest Division II facility. So that plays a part, being able to accommodate that many people. I think there was an announced crowd of 3,700 people. And I would say close to 50% of those were Hilltopper fans.
Yeah, it was, and this is what I said post-game, like I looked up behind our bench and we had a great following, and then I looked up there about 10 minutes later and we just kept filing people in there, and not only did we show up, I thought we were really loud. I thought we took over that building a couple times, and I know our guys don't take our fan support for granted. You know, they're very appreciative of our fans, and I can't wait to see how many of us travel to Evansville, Indiana.
Yeah, I think we will get our fair share of fans out there. And for me, I think the moment that kind of touched me, like this is a big deal, is I was waiting for my wife to arrive. She rode one of the buses up. So I was standing on that upper level where I could see the road, and the lobby probably had still 100 people in line that hadn't gotten their tickets. People were just swarming. They're coming up the steps. The arena's filling. And then I saw the 3 chartered buses consecutively coming in. And I thought, wow, this is going to be really, really cool.
Yeah.
And it was cool. So let's go to the beginning of the game. You knew what you were going to face. We talked about IUP on the podcast that morning. Kind of a version of Mercyhurst with their own little twist. So, thoughts at that first media timeout?
I actually liked the pace of the game. I thought the pace of the game was in our favor, and missed a couple shots that we typically make, and I think it took a little while for our guys to settle in. But the first media timeout, I was actually very pleased with the way we were playing. I know our guys were anxious and they were excited, but I thought, after that first media timeout, we really settled down, and I thought we started to even increase the tempo. And you started to see it throughout the first half. I thought we wore them down just a smidge, especially there late in the first half, right before halftime, and we took an 8-point lead there at halftime, and it felt pretty good going into the half.
Yeah, and let's talk team defense. And on the podcast, which you were not in there when we were doing the first segment that morning, Don and I, we had talked extensively about people just do not give us credit. They do not understand how good we are defensively. So verbalize that a little bit.
Yeah, I think we've got 5 guards that are underrated defensively, and I've said this before. I have trust in 2 or 3 of those guys to guard anybody, regardless of size. And defensively, we've made a little switch this year as far as maybe a little bit more gap help defense off of certain players, and we didn't show any help on 3 of their guys. We kind of stayed attached to them on the 3-point line, and so it was a mixture of both gap defense and no help defense, and I thought our guys executed that very well.
How important is ball pressure against the team with 2 big guys? They're the old school. They're going to play a 5 and a 4. How important is ball pressure?
Crucial for us. It's important that we have ball pressure 1 through 5, and it takes them out of what they want to do. It gets them out of their comfort zone, and their 2 quote-unquote big guys, caught the ball in the perimeter, and they're usually able to just catch it, look around, and pass. But we wanted to take all that away, and I thought Chaz Hines and Ben Sarson and Finley Woodward and Bryce Butler and those guys, I thought, were crucial in our defensive scheme, and I thought they did a really good job on those 2 guys.
Where I thought they were good, and then you can say yeah, you know what you're talking about or you don't. I thought when they did get it deep occasionally, or they got an offensive rebound, that we did a great job of playing position defense, not fouling them extensively, and making them shoot over top of us.
Yeah, I think we were playing vertical. I think that's something that we've emphasized in the past, and we haven't probably gone over it as much as we probably should have. But I thought those guys did a really good job defensively. And I tell you where I'm really proud of those 5 guys. I thought they just fought really hard for rebounds, and we're undersized, and those guys are probably stronger than us, but I thought our bigs just scrapped in there, scrapped and fought. And if you look at those 5 guys today, they've got cuts and bruises all over them from yesterday's game, because I thought it was a super physical game.
It was a physical game, and I think they called it pretty consistent. They let you guys play on both ends, which
Yes.
can be a good or bad thing, depending upon how you want to exploit that. But another key, and we just talked about how your bigs played against 2 very talented bigs, but let's talk a little bit about how important it is that your guards can transition out of the press, and it takes them so long to get into their offense.
Yeah, they better do that. We call it showcasing your speed, and I think we've got quick guards. Like from point A to point B, I'd put those guys up against anybody in the country as far as speed. And that's something that we harp on these guys. In film, this is something that we talk about. You got to showcase your speed and make numerical disadvantages, numerical advantages for us. And that's super important with the way we play and the basket's exposed. And it's super important that we do those type of plays.
And we'll just finish this talk about defense. When we talk team defense, what we've just talked about, I think, is the perfect and perfect world. If you've got the guards that are doing their job, they're delaying the team from getting into their offense early, they're starting their offense with 12 seconds left on the shot clock, they have done what they needed to do to give our big guys a chance to succeed, and then the big guys execute their part of the plan, and that's how you hold a team to 30% shooting and 53 points.
And I think if you remember, how many times did IUP shoot the ball with 1 to 2 seconds left on the shot clock? And how many of those shots were, contested fadeaways? I thought, just as far as a team defense, like we're talking, I thought it was great effort on our end, and hopefully we can continue to get better, because we're going to need that next game versus New Haven.
Right, and it's gotten better over the last month. It's just like every game, we're seeing it go to a little bit more of a level. All right, let's flip the script. Let's talk offense. Thoughts?
Talking my language now, yeah. I thought offensively, and again, we didn't shoot, a high percentage from 3, but I thought we had good looks, and I thought we passed the ball, and I thought, after watching the tape today, I thought we made good early passes against their, transition defense, and we flattened the defense out, and we had some guys cutting and moving, and, again, the second half, our defense wore them down. We get the ball in offense. How many easy basket cuts did we have with wide open layups? And you put all that stuff together, I think you have West Liberty basketball in a nutshell.
Right, and it's amazing how doing one thing successfully or one thing consistent leads to payoffs later. And I'm going to pass a compliment. My wife, who thinks she knows more basketball than I do, she did make a great observation last night. She said this is one of the most unselfish teams she's ever seen.
Team. I'm not a cliche guy, and I don't do sayings. I don't like that stuff, but we did do something different this year. We bought guys T-shirts, and all they say on them is team. They're great T-shirts with black lettering. They say the word team, and we can be really good if we play as a team. And who knows how good we can be. I think we're continuing to get better, but as long as we stick by the whole TEAM team, I think we can be really good.
Right, and I told her for one of the few times in my marriage, you're absolutely right, honey. But it is a very, very unselfish team. And I'm going to make an observation. Again, you can agree or disagree as a former coach. What I liked, there are certain nights over the course of the season that when you have the aspirations that we have, that people have to understand this is what we have to do. And as much as we talk team, and this is a part of this, I thought there was a really good understanding. This is a Bryce Butler night. We're going to run our offense through it.
It was a Bryce Butler tournament, actually.
Good point.
He was, as a coach, it's always nice to have a guy that you can say, let's get the ball to Bryce, something good will happen. And especially the Mercyhurst and the IUP game, I just thought he proved why he is one of the better players in the country, if not the best player in the country. And I wouldn't trade him for anybody. I think he impacts the game on so many different levels for us. And you talk offense, and he's passing the ball and scoring the ball inside against bigger, more physical guys than him. But he was a warrior on defense. Like, he scrapped and fought, and he really wanted to beat those guys. He's a Pennsylvania kid, grew up about 45 minutes from IUP. His mother went there for undergrad, and she's a graduate from there. And that game meant a lot to him, and it certainly showed.
Yeah, it did. It's one of those performances that we're going to remember for a long time. But one, the timeliness of it.
Yeah.
What a better time than a regional final against the top 5 in the country team and blah, blah, blah. But getting back to that original point, he kind of had the mismatch. He is a tough mismatch for people. Mm-hmm. And I think our guys understood that. And that's every bit as important in my mind as Bryce finishing these plays.
For sure.
That we're going to move, we're going to share the ball, we're going to finally get it to Bryce where he can do damage, and then let's just ride him tonight. And
yeah, I think this is the one team that they truly don't care how we win. Like, they really don't. Like, guys may have not have played well in certain games this year, but you wouldn't know it, coming home on the bus, because they're just so excited. All they care about is winning, and we're not looking down the road right now. The focus is on New Haven, but this team has a chance to be special, and it has a chance to go down the history books. But we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. We just really want to focus on New Haven and be the best that we can possibly be versus them.
Well, that's pretty good advice, and as we've said countless times on this podcast, we never wanted to get to the point where we're individualizing people, because West Liberty basketball is a team concept, offensively, defensively. On defense, if one guy is taking a night off, you're going to suffer.
Yeah.
On offense, if one guy's taking a night off, you're going to suffer. And we've talked a lot about Bryce in the last 2 weeks, but deservingly so.
Yeah.
I think he's the best player in the country.
Yeah.
I honestly do.
I agree.
But I also don't want to not acknowledge all these other guys that just step up and do what they need to do on that given night. So an example, Malik, Pitt Johnstown, 22 points, huge night. Last night, due to the makeup, the matchup, the type of defense, he just didn't get many shot opportunities.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he doesn't impact the game.
Exactly.
That he's doing it on the defense. And Christian made all tournament. Two-way player.
Right.
But it's Ben Sarson hit a couple threes early, and Zach Russell not only draining, which I thought was the biggest basket in the game, they cut it to 6. Mm-hmm. He drains the long three, but he's doing it on the defensive end. Steve Canaday, same way, two-way player, picking people up full court. And I know I'm going to leave somebody, Finn and Chaz, and I'm sure that I left somebody out, but for us to win, for us to play at this level, we need all of these guys doing what they're capable of doing. And the only differential in my mind between whether it's Pitt Johnstown, Mercyhurst, IUP, or Fairmont in the championship game, on any given night, they're going to be asked to do something a little more, a little less. Thoughts?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny you said, it takes all 5 guys. Malik McKinney's been here for 4 years, and he's a wise guy now, and he can verbatim say my pregame speeches, and that's one of his favorite things to say, because I say it all the time. If one guy's not playing hard in the press, it's not going to work. If one guy's stagnant on offense, it's not going to work. It takes all 5 guys. We're a unit. We're 5 as one, and he mocks me all the time because he knows exactly what I'm going to say at all times. But that's funny you said that, because we talk about that. We talk about that. It takes all 5 guys or all 14 guys, to play this brand of basketball. And so far this season, I thought we have pretty much.
Yeah, it's been so fun for me as an administrator, so much for me as a former coach, so much for me as a fan. It is just special. So I don't want to talk about New Haven. We'll have further podcasts where we can talk about them. I just want to let you know, from West Liberty, whether it's the community, the school, the administration, our president, however you want it, we are deeply appreciative to you, your staff, and every single kid that suits up in a uniform. You have made our lives special.
Well, thank you. And I'll say this, and we talk about it takes all 5 guys to make our team special. It takes all of what you just mentioned to make our team special too. And the support yesterday, I can't thank the fans enough. It was just an unbelievable experience for our guys and for our coaching staff. And we're going to remember that for the rest of our lives. It was special.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that wraps up this special edition, pun intended, this special edition of Inside Hilltopper Athletics, joined by head coach Ben Hallett, Atlantic Region champs. See you in Evansville.
The Panhandle Difference.
Westbanco appreciates our more than 15-year relationship with Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. They're a one-stop shop that handles all of our work, whether it's quick projects or whether it's a project that might involve multiple locations, multiple branch locations. We appreciate the relationship. Doesn't matter what we throw at them or how complex it is. They get it done quickly and they do a great job.